maybe we can kind of like flow a little bit into talking about data. And I know that you and I work on this on the daily from the standpoint of helping people clarify what information they have out there, what kind of decisions you can make from it. It's probably the biggest and most challenging sticky point for most people because their data is disparate and it's a real challenge. And then it's not even just, can we pull it together, but then how do we visualize it and make decisions coming from that? So I know that we kind of talked about the Microsoft stack, and we know that there's Power BI that we can leverage, data warehouses, things that sit in Azure, real-time analytics. We can drive alerts and notifications. There's a lot of things that we can do. Branding because of the personalization. When you're shaping data for an extranet, that is a pretty deep initiative because you need to optimize whether it's real time, whether it's historical. There's a lot of things you have to figure out, right? In order to be relevant and to be useful. But for you in driving extranets right now, how do you approach the shaping of that data with your team and working with the client?
Honestly, it kind of all goes back to the foundation of the extranet itself. Before you actually build the extranet, you have to think about what are the goals that you're trying to achieve with that particular extranet. And when it comes to data, what is the type of data that you're looking to collect? Are you just looking at performance-based data to see the effectiveness of the extranet itself? Or are you more looking for success metrics around maybe your services or your solutions? What is that specific metric that you're looking for? Once you identify that, again, within the Office 365 suite, you have so many options when it comes to creating your particular extranet that you can create something with that data set that you're looking for in mind. As a simple example, you could use a Power App as an example. You could create a model-driven app in Power Apps. It is a low-code, no-code solution, but it is a solution that is filled with internal analytics. So it would give you data around visits, activity, what paths are more popular, model-driven apps dynamically integrate into Power BI. So you don't need to spend any additional money to develop or get additional licenses. You can convert any KPI into a Power BI dashboard quite easily.
Right.
So one way to kind of go about creating the analytics that you need. And then, like you mentioned, Frank, Power BI as a whole connected to any kind of data source. And the data your extranet can provide can be in the form of an Excel order that gets submitted, like a product sheet of some sort, that could fall into a particular warehouse, or it could be something fairly complex, having that warehouse on the back end to normalize that data and having Power BI on the front end to visualize the data. Creating analytics and stories is, again, significantly easier today than it was yesterday.
Yeah, completely. I mean, if you think about from a customer perspective, you're going to want to see maybe, transactions. What was your purchase history? If anything that, hasn't been delivered yet, where is it maybe in the manufacturing process or shipping process? If it has been shipped, what are some of the relevant shipping details and tracking information? It could be projects that you have in play together. So there's so many different things that if you think about normally would be potentially a person just picking up a call or picking up the phone and calling somebody and saying, hey, what's the status of this? And where is this in the process? And you think about all the friction that removes and that self-service capability. We keep going back to the term self-service. For some people that ruffles feathers, right? Like they want people to talk to people. There's what's the name of that company, Sherry, that does the shoes? Zappos, right? So Zappos actually, they encourage their agents to just have conversations, not even about shoes with their customers, just to build crazy relationship. And they'll burn 15 or 20 minutes with these people talking about how they took their dog to the vet the day before. In other companies, that would be like grounds for dismissal. But inside of that company, that's how they do it. So building this blend of self-service is a real challenge for people. And I think that as we're tackling things like this, we're tackling business problems and should be having the conversations with the clients as well. Hey, as we build out these efficiencies, what do we do with our time and our resources? What's the highest and best use of time? What are people that normally would be handling some of these things now doing? Can you turn those individuals into being more outbound on calls, doing more account management, more follow up, and then letting the mechanism, which is the extranet, take care of the challenges that they normally have, and just getting status and updates and providing notifications. I guess that because this is tied into Office 365, like we can build outbound communications clearly through this as well.
Um, I would agree. There is just the amount of room that you have there is very interesting. The amount of solutions that you have is very interesting.